nothing to show, so far from home. Don't pay your brains, no one for me.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Chris here. Just wanted to introduce my new podcast. I've never done one before, but I'm going to try it out, see how it goes, and everything. So this is part of my sort of bigger content plan that I'm slowly rolling out. So maybe first up, a bit about me, what my background is, what I do now, and where I'm sort of heading to in the future, hopefully. So I graduated university at 21 with a design degree, majoring in graphic design from AUT, which is the Auckland University of Technology. Since then, I've worked in about 3-4 marketing jobs since then, all in sort of big sort of corporate marketing jobs, and these have been both in New Zealand, they've been overseas in Australia, and I've been back in New Zealand for about 2 years, and thoroughly enjoy it. I love what I'm doing, but I do feel I need to step up to another, not so much another level, but not just putting all my work into somebody else's plan. You know, I want to be putting more into mine, and this has sort of been a goal for me for a long time, is that I've wanted to do this. And about a few months after actually I graduated, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and before then I've been very uninterested in business, you could say. And you know, all my life before then was just purely design. You know, all through high school I maxed out as many subjects as I could in design, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And then as soon as I graduated, I sort of felt like I don't know, when I graduated I felt like it had happened too soon and I wasn't ready to go out into the real world. And so I sort of spent a sort of year sort of mucking around, not so much mucking around, but I was definitely putting things in place to get a full-time job in design or marketing. But it just took a long time to come together. During that time, I really got into self-development. I really got into business from reading that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which just sort of opened the floodgates into, you know, reading so many different books, getting into so many different articles, and eventually being steered towards doing something on my own. Not on my own per se, but something that was mine, and not building somebody else's dream. And I know this sounds very cliche. It is 2018 and there's an entrepreneur on every corner. That said though, that was something I really wanted to do, and I've tried a few ventures here and there since then, but it's never really built up momentum. And it's been fine, it's been frustrating, and I've learned a lot from it. But I also realized that I would be doing these small ventures, but a lot of them were just happening in the dark, and I wasn't documenting my own story. And that's really why I want to do this podcast, as well as just put out my own content. For a long time, I felt that I had to be of a certain qualification, not even qualification, because I did have that qualification, but a certain level of experience to sort of talk about myself. You know, like in my mind, who wanted to hear the story of a new graduate? But in turns, I found out Gary Vee and absolutely love his work. As I'm sure many of you are listening to that know of Gary Vee, an American businessman, entrepreneur, very big in the media space at the moment. And he really said a couple of words to me which really stuck out and resonated, and was the reason why I really started to put this content together. And he said, you know, document over create. And what I was doing for work was very much creating content, corporate stuff for businesses, and you know, that content works phenomenally well, and I was great at it. But none of this, I wasn't doing anything for me personally. I wasn't growing my own brand, I was growing other brands, which is fine. But at some point you sort of look back and you sort of think, you know, I've come this 5 years, but I haven't, when I look at my own personal brand, it hasn't really moved forward. And this sort of conflicted with, well, I haven't got that experience yet to talk about, so I don't have any content to produce that's credible, which was the big shift when I started listening to parts of Gary Vee, is that he said, I want to document so I can look back on this in years to come, or my kids can look back on this, grandkids, and they can see that playing out and everything. And that really resonated with me, because I have done that in the past. I wrote in high school like a little journal pretty much every day of the last year of high school, and it's cool to go back and look at what was important in those days, what I focused on, what was not important, what I sort of brushed off. And so I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to create content for myself, and I'm going to put it out there and see how it goes. And I really wanted to document myself and my struggles, and put it out there as taking myself out of my own comfort zone as well, but really so I could have something to look back on. And I suppose one thing that has been a big thing in the last few weeks for me is the idea that before I was very paralyzed by fear of failing, and in other parts of my life I had sort of mastered the idea of being free from outcome, where you focus on the process and you perfect the process, and you do have an outcome that you're moving towards, but there's little attachment to it. So if you hit it, that's great. If you don't hit it, that's fine too. But it was very hard to just sort of put this around on my business sort of thinking and my own personal brand, because it's easy to build and fail on someone else's brand, but it's hard to do it on yourself. And that is one thing I realized I really needed to do. I desperately needed to do it, and I sort of see myself as needing to do this 5, maybe even 10 years ago when I graduated high school. But that's all in past, and that's all fine. It's been something that I've had to negotiate mentally, I suppose. So that's where I sort of am up to at this point, where I just want to create content. I don't want to be paralyzed by fear of failure, of that sort of unknown, if I put it out there, are people going to like it, is it going to be crap, and just put it out. And either way, I sort of realized that it didn't matter that I had this ideal path that I thought I was moving towards. It didn't matter, and I'm still working through this, but it doesn't matter if I get there or not, because at the end of the day, as long as I can look back and say that I tried and I did everything that I could, I will feel satisfied in my journey. It is not, and what I did, it's not so much that I would go out there and do these things that I want to do and then feel satisfied. It's very easy for that. It's very easy to have a clear path, but when you're actually on the path isn't as clear as it is, and it could take big changes. So that's pretty much why I am doing this, and I hope to do a lot more. I am going to be starting very regular podcasts. I'm doing more videos. I'm doing more, just putting out more motivational images. But one thing I really want to drive home is that I see so many influencers out there, like social media influencers, like across lots of different niches. And one thing it's so easy to feel is that they're cut from like a different cloth, that they somehow had something you didn't, and they were just gifted that ability to put themselves in that position. And I really wanted to create this, not just for myself, but for other people, so they can see that, hey, I struggle as much as everybody else. I haven't made it yet, but you should, hey, we're all on the same sort of journey together. We're all sort of figuring this out. So that's a big thing, to cut down those sort of walls of thinking that they're a different cloth. Type thing. But yeah, I just want to say, as I sort of wrap this one up, it's sort of been a long one. I thought this would be 5 minutes, but it's sort of maybe taken 10, 15. But I really want this to be like the groundwork for what is to come, what I'm going to create after this. And I just really want these to be coming from a place of, I'm still learning, I'm coming from nothing, I'm not from a rich family, and I'm struggling just as much as anyone else. So I hope you guys have a great night, and hope you guys enjoyed it, and I look forward to catching you guys next time.